What's going on, people? Good evening. Welcome to, well, it's actually afternoon, but, same thing. Depends where you are. Depends where you are. Exactly.
It does.
So happy good evening to you. Happy good day to you. Happy good morning to you. Doesn't matter.
Happy good evening.
I don't know. It's made it up, and it's made it up.
Yeah.
Welcome to United View. Bit of breaking news. Dalot signs a new contract. Smash a like on the video for Dalot's new contract. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for Dalot's new contract. It's one that we knew was coming. It's one that we knew was in the pipeline. I think with the main ones, you could arguably say 2 down, 2 to go. Yeah, I think
really.
with the main crop of players. Owen, what we got with the statement?
Yes, so this was quite interesting actually because Fabrizio Romano tweeted out earlier today that basically Dalot had signed a new contract and an announcement was going to come. And then about an hour or so later, the announcement did come from Manchester United saying that Diogo Dalot has signed a new contract that will extend his stay with Manchester United until the 30th of June, 2028, with an option of a further year. So that is, Flex, a 5-year contract with an extra year, an optional year. Yeah.
Wait,
significant.
4 with a +1 or 5 with a +1?
June 2028. That's 5 years. 5 with an extra 1.
So it could be 6 if they put the extra one.
Yes. I tell you what, Flex, you're on the ball today. That is some quick maths you've got.
I know that is. I wasn't in that mode there because I was just staggered. I'm like, right,
5 plus 1 long-term future. 5 plus 1. Booker T actually is a 6-time world champion, so it works. Yeah, he's a 6-time world champion.
Sorry, just really quickly, because I know you're the wrestling man.
Yeah.
Really, that means Booker T's shit because he always loses it.
Because you're going to stay and get down. That's when they get into they go like, oh, Ric Flair, 16-time world champion, but you lost it 16 times. John Cena, the same, but you lost it 16 times.
True,
technically, Ric Flair's actually way more than a 16-time world champion. They're just official reigns, but he's actually a much more world champion than that. I don't want to get into it, though, Flex. Diogo Dalot, he's talking about signing a new contract. Diogo Dalot is talking about his contracts. He has said, quote, playing for Manchester United is one of the highest honours that you can have in football. We have shared some fantastic moments over the past 5 years, and I've grown so much, and my passion for this incredible club has only increased since the day that I joined. As a group of players, we all feel like we are at the start of a special journey right now. I can assure you that I will dedicate myself relentlessly to helping this group to achieve our aims and make the fans proud of this team. That drive continues this week with everyone intensely focused on preparations for the FA Cup final. John Murtough, Manchester United's football director, said, quote, Diogo is an excellent defender with a great combination of pace, strength and versatility. He has consistently developed, improving year on year since joining the club in 2018. Diogo's work ethic and professionalism is superb. The way in which he prepares himself every day in order to perform at his highest level is exactly what we all want from a Manchester United player. Diogo has a strong mentality, high standards, and a great personality, and we are delighted that he will remain an important member of the squad for the coming years. So, very strong words there by John Murtough. But 5 years plus 1, that's him locked in for a long time. And actually, Flex, when you think about it, he's already been at the club 5 years. That's been pretty quick, hasn't it? So crazy, at the end of this, if he's at the end of this, if he sees out this contract with the extra year, he'd have been at Manchester United for 11 years, over a decade. Whoa,
he could be the next Luke Shaw, but and some people may say, oh, I hope it's better than that because Luke Shaw had quite a few years where it wasn't the Luke Shaw we see now. But now, I think over the last couple of years, even if it's dipped a little bit because the team overall has been terrible or whatever, there's been enough in Luke Shaw to say that's the Luke Shaw. Like on his day, there's a good sample size there to say he's one of the best fullbacks in the league. Sometimes he's the best left back in the league. I know when Robertson's flying and doing what he does best with loads of assists and Liverpool are winning things, and then it doesn't get looked on as that. But he's up there in the top bracket of left backs in the league. What I just found interesting, I was just looking at when Diogo Dalot's when his last deal was going to run out. So because it still hasn't been updated yet. So next year, he had a year left and they've given him a 5-year. Yeah. And I thought, let me look at Wan-Bissaka. And he's exactly the same as Dalot. It's going to finish next year, June 24th. And we're not, and this is not to take shine off that. This is just looking at the squad just quickly. It's like, well, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's not really, we're not seeing that. hearing the noises.
Spoke about that this morning. I spoke about this morning, and I said it's interesting because Erik ten Hag finds himself in a really, I think, kind of strange situation, doesn't he? Where he says, clearly, I mean, he's just put pen to paper on a new, nearly 6-year contract. He really wants Diogo Dalot to stay. Diogo Dalot staying. But you could argue that at the moment, he's not the number one right back. The number one starting right back is actually Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And frankly, if Aaron Wan-Bissaka doesn't start Saturday in the FA Cup final, I think a lot of people would be like, that's surprising. I didn't think, Wan-Bissaka, I don't think started against Fulham, did he? Because I think the expectation is he's probably going to start against Man City. But it's almost, I compared it to the De Gea situation in the sense of you've got this player who is so good at one aspect of his job. So for De Gea, shot stopping, Wan-Bissaka, defending, tackling, one-on-one, that side of things. But there's an argument to be made. It's the aspect of the job that maybe is the fundamental part of it, but not the aspect that maybe the manager rates the most or actually wants to see more of. And that's part of the problem.
I think this is actually, now this happened, it's actually proper interesting now we actually going into this as just its own topic, because you're right. Technically, Wan-Bissaka, we don't know who the number one is. It changes by most games, but it's close. But I would say Wan-Bissaka's just edging it, because that thing of if you got a cup final tomorrow, who are you playing? You got a big game tomorrow, who are you playing? It's Wan-Bissaka. It's Wan-Bissaka. So I think, let's just talk about Dalot, because this is his time. This is his moment. I think we've had to wait a while with him. He was young when he came in under Jose.
Yeah.
And Jose spoke really highly of him. Really highly of him.
Next Gary Neville. That's what he said, didn't he?
And he's got the length of contract to be in terms of years of service anyway. Not obviously trophies and stuff like that. No one can touch that. But in terms of how long he can play for the club, and if this 5 years or 4 years goes well and we're winning things and stuff, he could go on again.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've had to be patient with him. You almost forget he went on loan to AC Milan because he was out the team. It wasn't working for him, and he's had to show. And he speaks about that. He's never afraid to speak about that experience that he had in AC Milan. It toughened him up. He learned a lot. It helped him grow as an individual, as a professional. And he came back, and then he was the main right back for a long time. But then Wan-Bissaka just does this thing, and then he gets the spot back under Erik, because at the beginning of Erik's reign, it's Dalot. That's who he wants there.
Well, and Dalot only. Remember, Dalot and
Dalot's playing brilliantly.
The first half of the season, Dalot played every game. Like when it was like Shaw Malacia come in for a few games, blah blah blah. No, it was Dalot plays every game. Like
the World Cup. The World Cup changed it. Where I remember we got back from the World Cup, and I was at the game where Dalot pulled his hamstring against Morocco, and or was it Spain? No, it was Morocco. I think, because they went out Portugal, didn't they?
I think
Morocco.
So, yeah. I think it was
Morocco. They did. Yeah, because the last game, Costa came and tried to catch it and Niziri.
He pulled his hamstring, but he still played through, didn't he, in the game? I think eventually he came off, but at the end, he's done his hamstring.
He was done. So he got back from the World Cup and couldn't play. Because actually, remember, he came back against Charlton, and we did the interview with him after that, and I jinxed it.
You did the interview and said, in fairness, you just said, how's the hamstring? And he said, yeah, it's fine. And then next game, he came off.
So he lied to me. He lied to me. So
you're a liar.
You're a liar. So we'll leave that. Yeah, well, there it is. But you get what this is the timeline I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then since then, Wamby went, this is my chance. And no spoilers, but we have got an interview coming out with Wan-Bissaka very, very soon. Watch this space. And you won't be surprised by what you see in it with the fact about taking opportunities. Enough said. But I think here's what it is. This shows that this is the guy Erik ten Hag wants to be the right back. This is the guy. I think this is the guy that he sees as, ideally, if I can get him playing to the level that I want in this team, functioning how I want it to function, with the fundamentals that Dalot has, once he keeps improving his duels, keep improving his defensive, kind of stuff, which they've both been improving their respective weaknesses. This, to me, shows that Erik ten Hag would like to have him there, clearly, because you don't give that. What is going to be interesting is if Wan-Bissaka gets the same treatment and they keep both. Because he's got a year left.
It shows that certainly Ten Hag views him as one of the guys. I mean, like you said,
we don't want to lose him. That's a massive contract.
Like you said with the De Gea thing the other day, you need double positions. So clearly, use him as one of the guys.
One of the guys.
But the key thing is going to be: is the other guy Wan-Bissaka, or is the other guy Frimpong, or is it whoever we're going to be linked to in this transfer window? That's going to be the.
Well, put it this way: if I know it shouldn't be based on one game, but I'm just painting a picture. If he shuts out Grealish and we win the FA Cup, let's just paint that picture for argument's sake in this. He has a year left. You have to sell him now, or you're going to let that run down towards January, which again is a mess. Eric Ten Hag, I don't think will want that.
Yeah.
You have to let it run down to the end of next year and then go, if he has another good year, we'll give him a contract then. Or do you give him an extension during this summer? Does Eric Ten Hag go, you know what, actually, I think we can do it with him?
I think it might also depend on some of the business that we do, because again, in terms of priority position, we need not one, 2 strikers. We need 2. Forget the Martial thing. We need 2 strikers.
Yeah.
Midfielder, defender. It's already 4 positions.
Goalkeeper.
Are we going to have a summer where goalkeeper? So that's 5. Are we going to have a summer where we recruit like 6 positions? Probably not.
No,
I mean, we did that last summer and we spent a lot of money doing it, and we don't have that much this time around. Go on.
Here's one. And this is off of actually speaking to both of them quite a lot in person and getting a feel for what type of people they are. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the type of player who he's not going to be banging on Eric's door and kicking up a stink and saying, what's going on with my new contract? Like, what, this needs sorting immediately, or I'm off, or I want offers in. Because he's playing, and again, you'll see in the interview on Friday, it's all kind of coming to me now, actually. He's a guy who thinks, well, I've come from Palace to here. My next move after this, I don't know if it's even I don't know if it'll be a parallel with Man United, a club as big as Man United.
Oh, it won't.
Do you know what I mean? Dalot, because that means we're saying Dalot, Wambi. We love Wambi, but Wambi's probably not going to get bought by Barcelona, by Real Madrid.
No. And what is interesting
by Chelsea
with that is that there were reports out there that those clubs that you just mentioned, your Barcelonas, Real Madrids, those sort of bigger clubs around Europe, they were after Dalot because they see him and they go, "Oh, he can kind of do a bit of both."
So I think so. Right. So in the most respectful way, I mean this. Out of the 2 players, Wan-Bissaka would be more happier to be there and keep going and ooze every bit of playing at the highest level I can, because once I go down, you've gone down, than Dalot would. I think that's how I see it, and I think that Aaron is also, like I said, the guy who's going to keep quiet. He's going to keep his head down, and he's just going to work, and he's going to wait for the club to say, do you know what? We're going to reward you with a 2-year contract. Actually, you've done so well. We couldn't believe it. Eric couldn't split you, and here you go. Or Aaron, to be honest, it's been amazing, but if the right bid does come in for you in the summer, talk to your agent and stuff, because we are going to go in a different direction. We've given Diogo that contract. That's Eric's thoughts.
Yeah.
So keep the door open. Or they could, I think, which is probable. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka stays, but he doesn't sign a new contract. And again, like a player like him, I think you see how next season goes. And if halfway through next season or whatever it is, because you can go into the last year. You can go into the last year of your contract and still get a new deal. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think you go into the last year of the deal with Wambi, see if he's still the guy after pre-season, and see if, Ten Hag's still persisting with he can't split them. Because also, end of a season, new pre-season, new players get added. Sometimes you go, bloody hell, remember when Wan-Bissaka used to play all the time? Now it's just Dalot, and we win all the time.
Well, that's what this season's been.
It just happens.
Like, you can cut this season in half.
You can.
Pre-World Cup, it was Dalot's. Post-World Cup, it's mostly been Wan-Bissaka's. Not to say that Dalot hasn't played, because he still has played games, but the gap that was there, I mean, it can't be overstated, the gap that was there. Like, as you said, pre-season, particularly first half of the season, Dalot played literally Thursday, Sunday.
You thought it was over for him. You thought it was over for Wan-Bissaka. No way back.
To the point where we were saying January, we have to get a right back. Why? Because we basically only got one. because Dalot's the only one that plays.
Oh my God,
wasn't even in squads. He wasn't even in squads. I know he was injured and he had to, all that kind of stuff, but he didn't play. Like nowhere near anything like that.
You forget. It's been such a long season. You forget the things that have happened.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a strange story because again, about 18 months ago, that was still Dalot though, because I remember Ollie's last summer. We were talking about Kieran Trippier. Is Trippier going to come in? That was dependent on Dalot going out because Dalot was nowhere near the first team at that point. No. And for half of that season, he wasn't. And then Ralph Rangnick came in. Dalot started playing more. By the end of the season, it was Wan-Bissaka's out. Dalot's in. Dalot playing every game. Ten Hag comes in, plays pre-season, plays the first half of the season. He's a standout for us. He's there with Leacher, giving him the fist bumps, the high fives. He can talk like 5 languages, so he's communicating with every single person in the team. He's the real glue of it. And then the World Cup happens. He pulls his hamstring. Wan-Bissaka comes in, and we're going. I remember watching Wan-Bissaka play in some of those mid-season friendlies in Spain. God, he was rubbish. Like it was like, oh, he's done. He can't do it. And then I don't know what happened. Suddenly he was all right.
On Friday, you will find out what happened.
Suddenly he was good. And then again, to the point, it's gone so far now that if he doesn't start on Saturday, you go, I just feel like we kind of need him to sort of lock down Grealish a little bit.
That's crazy,
because he did it. Because he did it earlier on the season as well.
I know. And he did it earlier on the season. And let's not forget this as well. He did it earlier on in the season, and also in the Carabao Cup final, mate, he came on at half time.
Dalot
was getting
and that was the big mistake.
And got booked after 5 minutes, and then Wan-Bissaka came on and clapped the shit out of St. Maximin.
That was the one thing people said coming out of that Carabao Cup final. They said, Ten Hag should have started Wan-Bissaka.
And the thing is, and he was on a yellow as well, wasn't he? So it was the easiest choice to make at half time. Yeah. And then from that moment on, again, he just hasn't looked back. And I remember
FA Cup semi-final. FA Cup semi-final, you got Matoma, one of a really informed player, comes out afterwards, go, I just couldn't get past him. He didn't complete a successful dribble past him. No. Like, that's
And even in the second game, Matoma got in, but because Lindelof messed up and then he should have scored, Matoma. But that game, the same game at the Amex, I remember sitting right behind the goal. He was just flying into tackles, couldn't get part. Like, he just couldn't. He just can't get past him. So he has such a unique skill set. And this is, we should be celebrating Dalot's new contract. And we're giving him his props. But we're just talking about what it looks like because I think it's insane. I think it's insane. Is this I forgot what I was going to say in terms of what
it's a really interesting decision that Ten Hag has to make. And I don't think it's an easy one. It's not cut and dry because every time it's appeared to be cut and dry, the other ones come back and it's suddenly really good. Let us know in the comment section below. What do you think? Obviously, congratulations to Dalot, like you're saying, locks him in for 6 years almost, possibly. What does it mean for Wan-Bissaka? And again, it's just fascinating that a guy can get a 5-year contract with an extra year that I'm very happy with it because I think Dalot's a really good right back. And actually, you do compare him to other right backs in the league, actually. You go, well, he's not the best yet, but he's up there, in comparison to some others. But he's just got this new contract. But actually, he might not start in the final, the biggest game of the season at the weekend, because the other guy.
Maybe he will now.
I don't know. I would love to know what people think about it. I'd love to know.
Wan-Bissaka might not start. Maybe he won't. Surely he's got to, innit? He's got to again.
But it's also as well with Dalot. What is true as well, it's versatility too, because in the latter part of this season as well, we've had games where both Wan-Bissaka and Dalot have started because Dalot will start left back. And when he does do a left back job, he can do it, like you said, he's comfortable.
Because he can use his left foot.
He can use his left, but he's so multifunctional. And again, that's worth mentioning too, is those kind of players that can do 2 roles or multiple roles. I mean, you could even argue maybe in the future, as he gets a bit older, he could transition into a centre back. I know he's quite small, but people would say that about Luke Shaw, in that he's a player that Ten Hag clearly would like because he's very technical. He's comfortable all around, isn't he? Like I said, left foot, right foot, left back, right back. You could put him in centre back. You could play him in a back 3 as like the wide right.
Yeah, you can. He's got. That's what I mean. He's more cultured than Wan-Bissaka. He can do more things than him. Yeah. He's technically more sound than him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's, and this is again not not to take away from how hard he's worked to where he's got to, because he's been unreal. We love Wemby now. Look at that, from the doldrums of thinking he's going to be completely out to where he is now. But Wemby's more of an athlete. He's more of a, the athleticism that he possesses in terms of you can't get past, because he's got these long levers, these long limbs that just stretch out and can't get there. The anticipation that he has, the gallop that he has, where he has this trot where he looks like he's not even sprinting, and all of a sudden he just starts shifting. Like
recovery tackles.
The recovery tackles. Like, he's got a lot of his attributes are linked to athleticism, and power and strength and things like that. Whereas Dalot's is strong. He's strong. He's quick. He's one thing I'd have to say about Dalot, which I really like about both fullbacks actually, is true what Eric Ten Hag says. They're both improving in their respective weaknesses. When Dalot's in one-on-one situations, I'm not as nervous as I once was. When he has to defend the back post with balls coming over, we always used to concede goals and Wan-Bissaka or Dalot were too far over and it gets over the head.
No idea who's over the shoulder.
Yeah, they've both improved in that aspect. And Wan-Bissaka looks way more comfortable on the ball than he's ever looked, which I never thought could happen. Called him Bruckfoot. Thought he couldn't ever control the ball. He couldn't control it. Do you know what I mean? So, and now look at him. So that's what I was going to say. I think the reason why it's safe to say what Eric Ten Hag wants to do, because again, as soon as he came in pre-season, it's Dalot. Dalot's the main guy. You start the season with Dalot, and all the way up to the World Cup till he got an injury where he couldn't play anymore. He had to rely on the other guy. Now it's no different to that being Maguire. Let's say in that moment, you're not good enough. You're dispensable to me. However, I need to lean on you when something goes wrong. But the difference is when he leaned on Wan-Bissaka to say, I need you to play, he's made Eric go, oh bloody hell.
You didn't know that I didn't see that in training.
You know what I mean? Mate, I can't drop you after that. That was unbelievable. Whereas when Maguire's come in, it's mistakes it's a massive drop off from what it is that we want. But testament to Wan-Bissaka that when he came in for Dalot, that drop off we probably expected to see in terms of fundamentally ball at the feet, can't cross, can't do this, but he's going to stop the player getting past. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that, and he deserves huge credit. But Dalot deserves huge credit as well, because clearly he's upped his game. It's not easy for him actually, where he's had to compete with Wan-Bissaka as well.
Yeah, like I said, 18 months ago, he was on the way out. This was a guy that, like I said, Jose had brought in, and then we were going, Jose was talking a bit of a big game, but I don't know if I really see it. Like you were saying, you're going defensively, a bit suspect. There was a while which they said that he was a great crosser, which is kind of like, he's not.
Where is it?
You know what I mean?
Don't see it. Yeah.
we didn't really see it. And then, like I said, under Ralph, he got better. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that the time he found his way into the side under Ralph Rangnick is when we were attempting anyway to play a more technical style of play, which therefore that suited him better. And like I said, it didn't suit Wan-Bissaka. And then he found his foot in, and then he became the number one right back. And now we've got, again, a technical coach. He's led the way for the first half of the season, certainly. That's no surprise. But it's competitive. It's really competitive between the two. And like I said before, I think the right back situation is a fascinating situation. I think just in general, as we said when we started this too, what we are looking at is 2 down, maybe 2 to go. It's Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot. They've signed their respective deals. They're locked in for the future. They keep saying, don't they, when it comes to Marcus Rashford, that it's not, I don't know if they've been as strong as they had with Dalot and Shaw, saying that it was done or anything like that. But whenever Ten Hag's been asked about it, he's always said, same about De Gea too. They want to stay. He wants to stay. We want him to be here. It's just a case of finding each other. So it's going to be interesting to see when they make those announcements, because let's face it, they're going to make those announcements. Like an announcement is going to come that Marcus Rashford has signed a new contract, and an announcement is going to come that David De Gea has signed a new contract, even though some people think that isn't going to happen, or because he hasn't signed off on it, he's still undecided on it. Maybe it's just a case of, I don't know, actually. Maybe I tell a lie there with that one, Flex. So I think that the Rashford one, from what we see in like the media and stuff like that, it's a case of maybe they haven't completely found each other yet on all of the different terms, maybe the salary and all that kind of stuff. With the De Gea one, all the reports are that everything's ready to go. It's just waiting for Ten Hag to sign off on it. So maybe he's just waiting to make his final mind up on it. I don't know. But I still think that one is going to happen.
Just really quickly, can you see and hear me all right?
You've gone very delayed.
Okay.
And do you know what? And do you know why I think it was? I feel like
changed tabs.
Yeah.
But still, I need to do this update. I'm gonna refresh quickly while you carry on. My whole thing's frozen. It can't even. Oh my god!
He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace. He's a cheat. This is.
We might have to wrap up there.
This is what happens when I notice sometimes when I'm talking, I can see Flex doing other stuff in the background. I go, "You're running a risk. You're running a risk," because I know you. Then you get kung fu.
Yeah. Mate, you just take control because I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm surprised I can even still hear you because everything on my whole thing is just froze, stuck.
You're very much in a pondering, thinking mode at the moment.
What is happening?
See now you'll move. There's movement again, but it's very delayed. Yeah, I think it's working out. Yeah.
Right. I think I'm back.
You're back. You're back.
I'm back.
No more tweeting, Flex. No more tweeting. That's what you got to do. You got to tempt yourself. No more tweeting.
Yes, exactly. Tried to tweet whilst doing that. That didn't work. Also, I'm trying to do an update, and I cancelled the update, but I just looked in the corner, and I've seen what's gone on here. It's started again. That's why. So it's the machine is very confused right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, the machine is very
Fleck with technology. Disgrace.
Yeah, Flecknology. But I'm back. I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back. And my hands are up here. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Not really much else to say, is there? I mean,
well, there you go. What an ending that is.
Yeah. No, I'm pleased for him. What I would like to say, actually, on a personal, like anytime he's around the fan channels and fans, when we get the chance to be around him as well and see him around, he's brilliant. He gets it. He's a really good talker, really good speaker. He is the sort of person you do want in your team. As a team player, you can tell. And he's a great guy, man. He's a great guy. I know that shouldn't be the reason why you get a big contract. You have to be bloody good at football to play for us. I get that. But like just on the other side of it, from like actually being up close with him and talking to him off camera loads of times. I remember a time, well, you remember, like I told you, when we was at Burnley last year, back when Little River got the pictures with Ronaldo and stuff, and we was all in the pictures and it was wicked. And we spoke to him afterwards. Me and Josh, we just spoke to him for like 10, 15 minutes. The bus was waiting outside. It was just us in Turf Moor. We spoke to Pogba that day and Scott McTominay. But Dalot just literally sat with us, stood with us for like 10, 15 minutes, just being really honest about that day, why we didn't win. And Wout Weghorst actually had a say in that game, I think. Come off the bench and skin the shit out of us. But yeah, he's just a really good guy. He's just a really good guy. So I'm really pleased for him, man. He's worked his socks off. And he deserves that, and I'm sure he'll keep going up. But yeah, he's clearly the guy that Ten Hag wants. He's clearly the guy that Ten Hag believes in because he's the first one out of the two who are both on the same length of contract, by the way, that I checked. Both were going to finish in June 24, so they both had a year left, or got a year left, however you want to say it. And it was a priority to get Dalot done and give him, not just get it done, they've given him 6 years, 5+1. That's insane.
And that's what I'm saying, 2 down, 2 to go. You think?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of feels like.
Hey, it's going to happen.
Like I said,
Rashford's going to happen.
Whilst you were frozen, this is what I was saying, is that I feel like the Rashford one, as Ten Hag said, it's just a case of the two parties finding each other. So maybe they're not
such a massive deal.
It's a big one, and he's had a good season and all that kind of stuff. And he is somewhat of a talismanic figure at United, isn't he? Academy guy. So it's it's finding each other on that one. The De Gea one, according to all of the reports, it's ready to go. It's just waiting for Ten Hag to say yes or no.
What's he waiting for?
But again, I would be very, very surprised if they would go through all of that just for Ten Hag to go, actually, you know what? No. Yeah. I feel like at this point it probably would be. But again, that doesn't rule out getting a goalkeeper. So I would expect 2 more announcements to come, you would think fairly soon, but we'll have to wait and see.
We shall. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let us know your thoughts. Are you pleased that Dalot has signed a new contract? Are you surprised by the length of the contract? Is it just what the doctor ordered for you? Is it just what he deserves? Is it just what Manchester United need? How do you feel about the Wan-Bissaka situation? Would you keep him? Actually, yeah, I want that to be the main question as well. Would you keep him for another year and whilst that contract is running down, see how he does midway through next year, then offer him a new deal if it's still going well? Would you cash in now if the right money comes in and go and get a different profile of right back because Dalot's not going anywhere? What would you do? How do you feel about it? Or would you just Like, keep both of them. And actually, this is the perfect problem to have, and we'll be fine in this area as the team gets better. We've got Dalot and we've got Wan-Bissaka. Let us know. Take care, guys. We'll see you in another show very, very soon. Peace.